And today we've got Mary Cravets, and she's an award-winning client generation expert, and she is an international speaker, delivering in person and online. And she helps coaches attract clients without social media. So I'm certainly interested in that because I do wonder sometimes the time spent on it or the time this team spend on it, what is the real return on investment? Uh, She's heard all the confusing and conflicting advice out there, so she isn't surprised that most coaches struggle to establish a sustainable business. And a lot of programs don't include that type of thing as well. So that's something that's, we feel it's important to put that in our programs. But she's here to change that. So using her method, the majority of Mary's clients increase their business by 50% or more. Make sure you get her contact details before she leaves the session. Clients range from coaches in their first years of business to experienced coaches, executive coaches, scaling up. So Mary's a huge fan of roller coasters and otters. Well, and a proud mum to her cat, Indigo Montoya. I'm not sure if I've said Indigo's
Inigo
name.
Mon Inigo Montoya, if there's any Princess Bride fans in the room, they will recognize that.
Wonderful. Well, so nice to have you here. Really appreciate your time. I'm going to be here taking notes as well. And over to you, Mary.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. So Claire and I met at Converge, and it's been a lot of email back and forth. But I think it was interesting. She said, this is obviously a very popular topic. And I talked to a lot of ICF chapters, and it's fun because they say every year they're like, oh, we're so surprised. Everyone's interested in business development. So I know this is a big topic. I also know that this is not the chocolate sauce of your coaching practice, like, ooh, the coaching skills and the conversations and the questions. I know this is kind of the broccoli. So I will try to make this as delicious and painless as possible. There is a handout, and Claire has it. She can put it in the chat. You will be just fine if you don't have it. Just it's nice to have all your notes in one place. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in to the content. All right, so first, I just want, by a show of hands or active listening, nodding, as you're thinking about your business and your life and everything that's going on, do you ever feel like this? Just my brain has too many. Okay, yes. Okay, my brain has too many tabs open. Okay, well, what I want to reassure you is that today is not about doing more. Today is about understanding how to maximize what's already working. And I'm especially excited to start our journey working together today because I know you are good. I know you're here to do good in the world with your work. But when you can't get people to understand the power of the work you do, if you're not attracting clients, then you're not making as big of an impact as you want. And that's why the work we're going to do today together matters. So let's take a look at that work, shall we? So, our topic today is more clients, less marketing, how to create more leads and income by doing less. So, you are in the right place if you want to grow your business without social media and you are a newer coach and business owners and want to stop worrying about where your next client is coming from. Or if you're a more experienced coach and business owner and you're looking for insights on how to streamline client generation so you're getting better results without putting more work on your plate. Specifically, what we'll cover today. Number one, you're going to learn a simple mindset tool that melts your resistance to implementing marketing. You're going to start a customized lead generation strategy that will allow you to stop wasting time and money on things that don't work. We're going to go over the 6 essential elements of an effective client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact in the world. And then we do something kind of unique, which is I give us time for what I think of as creating lasting impact. This is a moment to reflect, to think bigger picture, think how is this going to integrate into your business. I want you to turn this information into an actual difference in your business long term before you rushed off to your next appointment I want you to be able to reflect. Okay, a few housekeeping items. If you can hold your questions, about halfway through, I built in a quick Q&A time. So if you want to put questions in the chat, that's fine, but I'm going to have to hold them until the break, just so I can get through all the content and stay on my timeline. You'll also have the opportunity to get your questions addressed one-on-one. Second thing, as awkward as this will sound to those of you on the call live, if you are listening to the recording right now, any resources I might mention during this session, you're welcome to reach out to me from the future to receive them. A tip about how to get the most out of today, and that is do your homework in class. Do as many of the exercises and assessments today as you possibly can during our time together so you can get your questions answered and hopefully have a shorter to-do list afterwards. Okay, one special note for this particular group, since I know how highly international this is. I'll tell you, one time I was in Prague. I presented for the ICF chapter there, and I presented for the Nordic Chamber of Commerce, which contained about 6 or 7 different nationalities. And I was struggling because I was like, oh my gosh, how do we be culturally sensitive to everything? How do I make sure to uh, translate this information into their, their what works in their culture. And I realized that I'm going to be the holder of the strategy and the framework, and you will all be the holders of your knowledge of what works where you live, what works culturally for you. So instead of trying to become an expert on something I obviously cannot become, this is going to be a conversation. So if I say something and I'm really adamant about it and you're like, that doesn't work for me, fantastic. Let's dig in. Fair enough? All right. So now that we have the housekeeping out of the way, open your chat window and put your fingers on the keyboard. I'm going to ask you a question in a second, and I just want you to type the first thing that comes to mind. The challenge is no overthinking, just first thing that comes to mind. Here's the question. Why is this topic important to you? Why is this topic important to you? Because I guess I can probably guess that you have a few other things on your to-do list. So for you to be here and to invest your most precious resource, your time, what is it that makes it a priority to be here? And I will let you know, I may not get to all of these just in the interest of time, but I will get to everyone I possibly can who contributes. All right, sustainable business. That is a word that keeps coming up over and over. And I think it's partly in response to some of the marketing avenues out there that are like launch and this huge effort that is not sustainable. It's just exhausting. And I know most coaches are not looking for that kind of work and that kind of business. I want to coach more, finding a starting point. Ooh, that's a great one. Okay, I need more consistent income, sustainable impact, generate more leads to turn into clients. Yes. Sometimes people forget the lead generation part, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So it's just knowing that that is a focus. You're ahead of the game. I want more consistent client flow rather than feast or famine. Ooh, and just got a thumbs up as I was watching. So that's obviously a theme. Learn about less work. Yes. The key to less work is taking the time to get your very, very intentional strategy dialed in. Because a lot of times we're doing more work because you're like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do the other thing? And you're experimenting a lot. So while it ends up being less work, the first part of it is more learning, more focusing your efforts. All right, make life and work more simple. Aspiring coach building a new business. Welcome. Congratulations. Stability, more structure. Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite words is structure. Structure, specificity. Those are two of my favorites. Time is scarce. Passion for reaching coaches who can benefit from supervision. Yes. And with supervision being kind of a moving target lately, they need it more than ever. Need to re-inject my business with some fresh clients, fresh start. I want to work less, stable income, make life easier. I want my efficient tools to market my business, earn more with less effort. I will start my own coaching business. Yes, I want to have a viable coaching business. You know what? I'm actually teaching a one-off short workshop called Vision to Viable. So if you want details on that, let me know. It is a paid workshop, but it's a very interesting place to focus your efforts to start. Let's see, good mindset to expand biz. I want to be able to select which clients I want to work with. Oh, yes. Talk about intentionality and specificity. This is where your strategy makes all the difference. Yeah. Okay. I have a lot of resistance to marketing. I'm keen to looking a way to shift that. Learn more on coaching business and make an impact. Um, and there's a nice introduction in there. Awesome. Limited time and invaluable resource. I want to use it in a way that permits me to use mine wisely for maximum impact. Like to have more control of my time. Yeah, if I didn't teach this, I'd be teaching time management all day long. It's my favorite thing. I do not like marketing or selling myself. I think too much about the task and it is affecting the sales of the services I provide. So I'm going to invite everyone, right on the heels of that comment, I'm going to invite everyone to consider the possibility that some of the assumptions you make about what successful sales and marketing has to be, that some of those assumptions might be holding you back. Um, they might be wrong. Let's just put a fine point on it. They might be off. So I hope what you're going to see today for I'm going to go into a little bit of background in a second, but I hope what you see today, what I model, also gives you some new perspectives on how sales and marketing could look. All right. Thank you all for jumping in. I appreciate it. And I love that we got through everything. So I'm going to build this content from the ground up for you. And I want to pull back the curtain um, about where it comes from. I don't know about you, but I like to, I'm very skeptical. I am very choosy about who I work with and who I learn from because, so I want to assure you that this is not something I read in a book last week and now I'm regurgitating it for you. It's not theory that I'm testing on you. This all comes from building my own business because today I own a great training school. I've owned it for 15 years. I've helped thousands of coaches grow their businesses. It's incredibly fulfilling work. And we're right on track for our 500,000 mark. But where it started, it did not look anything like this. And you might be able to relate. The first thing I did was made the terrifying decision to leap out of a stable but soul crushing work situation. And suddenly I was on fire. I was like, finally, I am aligned with my values. I'm leveraging my strengths. I'm contributing to the prosperity of others. But then, on the other hand, I was also running in dozens of different directions. I was not charging what I was worth. I didn't even know what to charge. My marketing strategy was this is maybe an American expression, but spaghetti against the wall, trying new things, pushing, working longer hours, adding more and more to my plate. You're probably not going to be surprised to hear that at the 2 year mark, I experienced complete burnout. I was diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion, and suddenly the time and energy I could devote to my business was cut back significantly. So, as I was struggling to figure out how to get through this health crisis, a question popped into my mind. It broke through all the fear, all the fog, and it changed everything. And this is actually the very first thing I recommend you write down. The question that popped into my head was, what's working? That was it. I don't think I could have handled much more. What's working? Because I didn't have time or energy to chase down the latest, greatest marketing trend or figure out what social media was doing with its algorithms this week. I needed to know that whatever I put my very limited energy into, it would actually produce results. And then starting with just that one question over time, my business started to grow as I was recovering my health. And then as my business progressed, this framework emerged. This is the bigger picture of client generation, my Simply Get Clients framework. This is the reason my clients consistently increase their businesses so successfully. You are seeing the wrong screen. You're seeing my script right now, aren't you? Well, you get to see totally behind the curtain, don't you? Yes, I am very, so the specificity. Yep, that goes for everything I do too. All right. So this is what gives us all that sense of ease and freedom that comes from having a structure in place to create consistent results. All right. So I'm going to take a breath because while I know that nobody minds seeing the flaws, sometimes it throws me a minute. So I'm going to take a breath, get myself back to here for you. All right, let's learn a simple mindset tool that melts your resistance to implementing marketing. So the strategies I'm going to teach today will clarify how to best spend your time in marketing. But if marketing and client generation, if it always falls to the bottom of your list, or you have resistance to putting yourself out there, then we've got to address your mindset first. If we don't, no matter what you learn today, no matter how great it is, you will likely snap back to doing what you've always done. So here is the tool. It is a single, simple question that gently but persistently shifts your perspective. It's simply, am I willing for this to be easy? Am I willing for this to be easy? Now, this works because, as you probably know, your brain is basically wired to say yes. So if you're saying, oh, this is going to be so hard, I don't like this, sales and marketing is icky, your brain's going to say, yes, I'm going to prove to you that you are correct. I'm going to throw mental resistance in your way. But when you start using this tool, like put it on a sticky note, put it within your eye line, when you use this almost like a mantra, am I willing for this to be easy? Am I willing for this to be easy? Your brain, it's kind of soothing actually for your brain. Your brain's like, yes, okay, let me do away with the pesky stress and resistance. Let me show you evidence that it can be easier. Using this question as a foundation, it can make a profound difference in your stress levels, yes, but also in the bottom line results of your business. And I love teaching through stories, so I'm going to share one with you now as an example. So this is Candace. She had an established coaching and training company, and she was feeling so stuck, so stressed, so scattered. And she had tried to scale her business time and time again, but kept snapping back to overworking, not making the money she wanted. When she was with her family, she was feeling guilty for not working. When she was working, she was feeling guilty for not being with her family. So at the most fundamental level, she basically had the assumption that business had to be hard and that this stress was kind of like the inevitable sacrifice you must get through if you want to run a business. So we had our initial breakthrough call. And then before we could dive into scaling strategies like delegating and raising prices, we had to break that cycle of her mindset. When we did, she was able to double her business 2 years in a row. It only says 1 year here, but the update is she doubled it 2 years in a row, and she has more time off than ever. So I know this seems like a very simple tip. Um, I strongly recommend you take it to heart and use it. I use it almost every single day. All right, let's roll up our sleeves and do some of the strategic work now. All right, but I'm going to give myself a moment to read your very nice comments in the chat, encouraging. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, so there are so many options to market out there. It's a great time to live in because there are so many options, but how do you distinguish your winning combination of lead generation actions from all of the noise out there? What is your lead generation formula? So that's where we're going next. And just to show you where we are in the bigger map, we're going to start your custom formula today. So the first thing we have to do is stop the overwhelm. The problem with all those great options out there is there are all those great options also running around in your mind. It's exhausting. And even if you're only just thinking about it and not executing it, it can be just pulling at your energy all the time. And when you are executing, you can be wondering and worrying about, are you doing the right things? So the very first thing is we've got to get all of those ideas out of your mind and onto paper so we can reality check them. So what you're going to do now, and I'm going to give you the time today to do this, I want you to list all of the marketing activities you do consistently, the things you do inconsistently, the things you think you should be doing, the things you're curious about trying, the things you dread, everything, everything, everything. If you have the handout, you've got a nice little grid with two columns, you're going to brainstorm in the left-hand column. If you don't have a handout, grab a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, start brainstorming in the left-hand column. This is about quantity, not quality. We're going to get to quality in a minute, but right now, you just want to get as much space in your mind as possible by getting it all onto paper. I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm going to be completely quiet for you to brainstorm starting now. All right, you got about another 30 seconds. All right, start to wrap up your thoughts. All right, and that is 1 minute. Okay, so what your list might look like is this. By the way, this is not the answer key. If there's any question to that, this is not the answer key. This is just an example. This was my list many years ago. Overwhelming if you think you need to do everything. Okay, so the second thing is we have to identify what works for you. So I'm going to go through two different evaluation methods. The first one is going to be for coaches who have businesses that have paying clients. And then the second is for newer coaches who maybe don't have paying clients. So I'm going to get to both of you. All right, so we're going to focus in on the marketing activities that will bring you great clients. So for those of you who are more experienced coaches, you have paying clients. In the second column, I'm going to ask you to write down the names of your, for the purposes of our time today, just your top 5 clients, or a few more if they come to mind. Top 5 clients. Only write down the names of clients who are great examples of your ideal client. You see that smiley face in the top right-hand corner of the screen? That's what that means. Only list clients who are easy to work with. They appreciate your expertise. They pay you on time without haggling. It's critically important not to include what we call the PETA clients. I don't know if you've heard this term before. It's pain in the ass clients, the ones that kind of make you cringe or give you those frown lines between your eyebrows. Don't include them because this customized plan we're building is going to help you multiply these results many times over. We want to make sure we're multiplying the right things. Okay, so how do you create a bridge between your marketing actions and getting clients you just adore and who adore you right back? You're going to draw a line from the name of the client over to the marketing strategy that brought them to your door. And what you will generally find is there is a concentration in just a few areas. And this is where you're going to focus your time and energy to get the best results. Okay, new coaches in the room. This is your moment. So I don't have slides for this, so just listen. What I'm going to have you do is write down somewhere on your paper off to the side 3 words. The words like, second word is know, as in knowledge, K-N-O-W. So like, know. The third one is results. Like, know, results. What you're going to do is you're going to take your brainstorm and you're going to go through it 3 times. You're going to go through it once and say, okay, which of these things do I like to do? And you're going to put a check mark next to those things. We want to make sure those are included because that's where you're going to have the least resistance, right? You're going to go through it a second time and you're going to say, okay, which of these things do I know how to do? That's going to shorten the learning curve, right? So put a check mark next to the things you know how to do. And then you're going to go through it one more time and you're going to ask yourself, which of these things gets results in my industry? And also in your country too, because it's a little different country to country. So what is it that which marketing strategies get results? And put check marks next to that. Real quick note on results. Results does not mean likes or shares or reposts or anything like that. Results means clients enrolled, means dollars, or, or it means money. Let's do it that way. Okay. So what you're going to also find probably is there's going to be a couple of these things that have 3 check marks next to them, and that is going to be your starting point. So regardless of which method you used, your custom formula is going to consist of just 3 to 5 strategies and the actions involved with each. And you'll want to track, this is important, track your activities, track your results. Where we go with our clients is this becomes a formula of activities that produce predictable results. You know specifically what activities to do, how many, and the results start to become consistent. So let's look at the principle in action. So this is John. He's a former CFO of Microsoft North America, and his corporate success just wasn't translating into attracting new clients consistently. In our initial breakthrough call, he said, I've gotten some clients, but he just wanted it to really accelerate. So after doing the exercise you just did, we took his top strategies, and this is the part I want you to really hear. We took his top strategies and we worked backwards from his goal. What was the income goal? How many clients did he need to reach that goal? Based on his sales closing ratio, how many prospects did he need? And it all led back to a plan. And that plan was just a short list of activities that he did on a monthly basis, didn't take up all of his time, leveraged his existing network and resources, and really honored his strengths and preferences. For him, he was able to double an already strong year. There was something I wanted to mention. Yeah, so what I want you to think about, what you're really going for is if you right now, when you get to the block in your schedule, which so many people put in, which is business development or lead generation or marketing, whatever you call it, when you get to that block in your calendar, what I want you to think about is it being a time for execution. Okay, you know what to do, so you're just checking things off the list. A lot of times, what's happening for a lot of coaches is they get to that time block and it's like, what do I do here? And you're trying to decide and execute in the same time block. So when I'm talking about this short list of activities, I want to make that very real and very concrete for you to think of getting into your calendar and just checking things off the list and then moving on to the next thing and not having it be this big, heavy weight or this big question mark. Okay, so I'm going to take just a few minutes right now to ask you, what did you discover? You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand for a quick comment out loud. This is our this is our audience participation portion of our program today.
I can go to break the silence if you like. So
Thanks, Craig, and then Eileen, and then Afia.
So in the past, I've got a lot of work through coaching platforms. So that's meant I haven't needed to do my own business development.
Yep.
But actually, the second thing, which I hadn't realized, is that the second biggest source is from referrals.
Yeah. That is good to know. And that is a common story. Thank you for sharing that. I know just sharing that makes other people feel less alone, like they're the only one. This is a trend in the industry right now. What has happened is in a softer market, everything collapses a little bit, the opportunities. And so the people who have their own client generation system in place are affected less. Referrals is the top way coaches get clients, and that has lasted through worldwide administration changes, pandemics. Like for the last decade of my business, it has always been the top way that coaches get clients. So thank you for that. All right, Eileen, I saw you unmute. Where'd you go? Or maybe not. Okay, then I'm going to go on to Afia and then Ken.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. So my realization is the client I have got, I didn't need to, make them understand what I do. So
You
they do
you didn't
understand.
you didn't or you did need to make them understand what you do?
I didn't. I mean, they do
Didn't.
know what I do. And when I
Okay.
approach them, it's a bit easy. Okay, yeah, I need this, and then we discuss about the time when the time is right or something like that.
Hmm.
But this happens for few clients only. I get very few clients like this who
Okay.
knows that yes, they need support from me.
Okay. So, do you currently have a client generation like plan in place that you're working?
Uh, Sorry.
Do you currently have a client generation plan or marketing plan
Yeah,
that you're, no?
I do. I do have.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Mm.
So, do you have a question in there? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I'm gonna respond to the right thing here.
Okay, so yeah, so my realization and question is, so there are very few clients who can understand that I can support them, but
Okay.
most of them don't understand. So how to find
Okay.
those, clients like those few clients?
Okay. Perfect. So, I'm going to recommend stick around because the next part of this is going to flesh out the bigger picture of client generation. And the time people don't necessarily have to understand what you do in order to hire you. Eventually, yes. However, what people need to see to be attracted to work with you is basically that you understand them. And so your messaging, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, has to reflect what they're going through rather than what you do. All right. So we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second. Thank you for that. Okay, great. All right, Ken, and then Andy, and then we're going to quick go to the next thing.
So I've been doing this a while and I do a lot of marketing and biz dev. And I feel like the advertising guy who says, I know that 50% of my advertising doesn't work. I just don't know which 50%. I mean, I've got a video podcast, a newsletter. I speak at conferences where my prospects gather. Um, I post on the website. I'm on LinkedIn on a regular cadence. I'm maximized for AI for GEO.
Mm-hmm.
And I always start with, how'd you find me? And they
Yes.
said, oh, I think it was your podcast. No, no, no. A friend said they saw you speak. No, no, you have a column, right? So I mean, I think I've got surround sound, which should be good, but then you never know, I guess, what to do more of or what maybe do less of.
Yeah, and so for you, what I would recommend is if you can take a bunch of clients and kind of look through the whole journey, the whole path. What are the touch points along the way? Because I'm kind of in the same boat, Ken. Because the name is out there, it's harder to figure out what is the thing that's doing it. And the very best thing you can discover is an underperformer at this point, so you can take it off your plate. Okay. So yeah, it'll take a little bit more. And also sometimes it's just like, you know what? This takes up too much time. I'm just not going to do this. Time and emotional weight and energy. If there's one piece, even if it's contributing, if it's taking more than it's contributing, you probably want to let that go.
So oddly, I serve mostly PR and comms people. I'm a former PR guy. So the writing and the marketing kind of like.
Okay.
I don't feel draining. I just wish I had steadier.
Yes, yes. And actually, I'm going to offer a resource that might help tie something in just a second. I'm going to hear Andy's comment and then I'm going to take 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes and then I got to get back to the content. So go ahead, Andy, not to put any time pressure on you or anything.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, what I did, I think first of all, I thought it was a great exercise, and I got lines everywhere. But all the lines, when I look at them, there's like a pattern. So first
Okay.
off is networking. That's for sure is giving me clients.
Okay.
Just yeah, referrals, networking, trainings. So when I do a training, people are, I guess, they're coming back for coaching and things. And I've
Yeah.
had a couple from LinkedIn. And this kind of really surprises me because I've been doing a lot of newsletters and I've got a database of emails, but I haven't had anything from that. And in fact,
Mm.
I've stopped doing it for the last 6 months because I was getting, a bit, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit heavy, so I
Yeah.
stopped doing it.
Yeah. Heavy is the way to is one of the things to, oh my gosh, I'm a professional speaker. Um, one of the things to look at for when deciding what to keep and what to have go. Um, and just like really making it a priority to look at like what is actually working. Now, I'm going to always and forever recommend that you have an email list, even if it's only, you're touching base once every couple of months. If it's because you want to own your contacts, that is actually a form of networking. It's owning your
Ah,
networking.
oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Well,
well, okay.
that makes
In
it
my book.
easier.
Okay. Yay. You see, sometimes it's just perspective shift,
Well, it's
isn't
the
it?
mindset. Yeah, it's just something
Yeah.
shifted there. Oh, it's the same. Good.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you everyone who participated. I saw a bunch of comments in the chat, and I have to make sure we get through the rest of the content because it contributes to this so much. Um, Here's what I want to do though. Because referrals is the number one way that coaches get clients, what I want to do is offer you an additional resource. This is my gift to you, just because there's a lot of detail to referral generation. Coaches usually think of it as this thing that happens, not something you can quantify or do, have become very reliable. So what I want to do is put into your hands my training called Referral Generation Made Simple. It's how to ask for referrals without feeling awkward, how to develop centers of influence, how to just the whole picture of it. So, again, like we just did with Andy, like demystifying a part of the business so that it's more accessible and more effective for you. So, if you would like this training, happy to give it to you. I'm going to put in the chat my email address, and I'm going to recommend this is one of your do your homework in class moments. Okay. So, send me an email right now. My email's in the chat, mary@simplygetclients.com. And to make it easy for my team to spot, I'm going to have you put the subject line as smile because I know more referrals will make you smile. Yeah. So go ahead and do that now. Question for you. Is anybody in here wanting to do more speaking as a part of their business? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put one more class in there for you. It's called Fill Your Speaking Calendar, and it gives you the process that I use in my business that my team uses for me, and it also gives you the entire strategy of client generation through speaking. It gives you a really tight checklist for that. So send that, and then I'll get on with the show. And by the way, I see some questions in the chat. Feel free to send those to me after. It's just not something I'm going to probably get to today, but I don't want to leave you hanging. All right. I'm going to keep going. Confirmation I'm sharing the right screen? Yes. All right. So the thing we're going to do next is we're going to look at the 6 essential elements of an effective client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact in the world. In order to have a sustainable business, like so many of you mentioned, you must have a client generation system to consistently bring in the clients you want. Most coaches do not have an overall client generation strategy because you'll learn a little here, a little there, and it can just be this kind of time consuming mess. So, to get started with forming your own process and system, what I want to do is get you started with a simple evaluation to understand where you are right now. Some of these elements might feel like they're very well dialed into your business, others not so much. What this is going to do for you is it's going to show you, give you clarity on what needs to be shored up. So I'm going to simplify this image. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to describe each of these, and then you're going to evaluate how clear this is in your business on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low, 10 is high. Please don't put this in the chat. That would be awful. All right, so over here on the left, starting with values and vision. So when you have your values and vision clear, you create a sense of conviction. This gives you the courage to ask to be paid what you're worth, gives you a willingness to put yourself out there, even if you know you're risking rejection. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high, are you clear about your values and vision? Next is pricing and packaging. When you know that your pricing reflects the value of your services, when it's aligned with your financial goals, your packages are clearly defined, a lot of things can click into place because you can dial in exactly how much lead generation activity you need to do. You're not feeling put on the spot when asked about your programs, and you're not going to get tripped up when it comes to the money part of your sales conversations. So on a scale of 1 to 10, are you clear and confident that your pricing is where it needs to be to reach your financial goals without overworking? Ideal client clarity is next. So a little tip here, when you're describing your ideal client, that description never starts with the words, "I'd be willing to work with." Okay. Now, to be clear, you can take any client you want, obviously, but in order to create a steady stream of great paying clients, your whole strategy has to be built around that ideal client. That's the one who you're going to be able to serve at the highest level and who will likely be paying you at the highest level. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about who your ideal client is and where you can find prospects who can afford your services? Next is magnetic messaging. So messaging is the words that are everywhere in your business, on your website, when you go networking, it's everything. And messaging becomes magnetic when it quickly describes what your ideal clients want. Here's the important part, describes it from their perspective, not yours. This is what we were talking about a little bit earlier. You want to be able to describe, what are they dreaming about? What are they worrying about? When I'm creating a client generation plan with my clients, this is my favorite part of the work because it's the moment I can see their whole business change in an instant because they're going from this place of feeling like they've got to explain or possibly convince people. And it shifts to this place of really owning value and almost like becoming a magnet, attracting business, creating curiosity. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, assess how effectively do you communicate the value of your services so when people meet you, they quickly want to have a conversation about working together. Next is lead generation. That exercise you did today, that is the start of your new approach to lead generation, focusing on actions that directly lead to sales conversations. Now, this is different from an idea of visibility or that vague advice I hear people get sometimes, which is put yourself out there. No, that's not what we're talking about. Lead generation, when it's clearly defined, you stop worrying about where your next client is coming from. You stop worrying if you're doing the right things or enough things. When your lead generation is at a 10, you do something remarkable. You kind of relax, knowing that the leads are going to be coming in month after month. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in your ability to bring in new leads consistently? And the last element is sales and enrollment. Can you confidently convert a prospect into a paying client? And this means having a sales process in place that removes the guesswork of, how do I get someone to see the value? How do I explain but not over explain so they want to work with me? In a corporate setting, how do you make sure that proposals don't get lost in the shuffle of decision makers. So, last assessment on a scale of 1 to 10, are you confident in your sales conversations and consistently get hired as a result? Now, let's take a look at this as an overall system. So, what's important to know is that within this framework, for each of these elements, there are dozens and dozens of options to choose from that will allow you to create your unique approach, and it will be the most effective approach. So, this is the first step. This is identifying the elements of a client generation system. To get to a place where you have tens across the board, the next thing to do is to kind of sort through all the options, kind of like the process we started today with lead generation, and figure out what's going to work best for you. And remember, each of these is linked to the other. So you've got to make sure to always be looking at this as a system. And this is definitely a learning curve. Take a breath. This takes work. Growing a business takes work. Most coaches don't have a background in this, and that's why I have the business that I have to support change makers like you. Okay, so step one is getting the plan together, and the next step is what do you need to put in place in order to stay on track and implement consistently? Now, this is a question we have to answer when I work with every single one of my clients, and I have a great example, Kimberly, to kind of illustrate this. Like most coaches, her vision and values were at a 10, but how to attract clients, all the rest of it was not so much. She was feeling discouraged because she found herself second guessing where to put her efforts to grow her business. And adding to the mix, like me, maybe like you, she has a creative streak. She loves to learn. So she kept trying new things to grow her business. But trying new things and learning new things, it only gave this illusion of progress instead of getting real traction and growth. Now, not getting traction, it doesn't come from a lack of effort. It doesn't come from a lack of brilliance. It's a lack of clarity. So getting the clarity on a breakthrough call is how Kimberly and I kicked things off. Then when we worked together in one of my cohorts, week by week, we thoughtfully designed her unique approach to each of these 6 elements so that it did not crush her creativity. We don't want marketing to crush her creativity, but rather we focused it. We channeled it more strategically. So she knew with certainty that the work she put into her business would actually pay off. And so her first success after building her plan was to be able to leave her corporate job. And she's done many, many things since then, published in Harvard Business Review and all kinds of other things. All right, and I know you're super happy for Kimberly, but how about you? What is it going to take to create lasting impact in your own practice? So this is our reflection time to make sure this stuff is getting integrated, well thought through, and into your schedule. All right, so the first thing we're going to do for this bigger picture view is based on how you rated yourself. I'm going to ask you to self-diagnose your top challenge. Usually what I find with my clients, it's one or more of 3 things are happening. Either your strategy is shaky, your lead generation formula is unclear, or implementation is inconsistent. So let me flesh this out for you. If it's your strategy, you probably get up every day, you start working, you're off and running, and then at the end of the day, you look around and wonder, okay, what did I do to actually grow the business? Your days will feel reactive and busy, but not necessarily developing new business or attracting new clients. So that's a strategy challenge. How do you know if it's your lead generation formula? Well, that's going to feel like everything's very hit or miss. You're pulling in some ideal clients, but for the most part, it's inconsistent. And this shows up like an income roller coaster. One day you're on cloud 9, the next day just blows. You never know what you're going to get when you wake up in the morning. All right, and how do you know it's implementation? Well, your implementation challenge comes up probably, it may come up, this is mine. You've got color-coded everything going on. You love strategic planning, it's all mapped out, and you at the end of the day realize that you reworked your plan, but didn't put it into action. All right, and so that's the implementation challenge. I'm just going to check in real quick. I hear a couple people dropping off. This is an hour session. Am I right? I know sometimes people have to leave early, but I just want to make sure I planned correctly.
It is, and there's lots of thank yous in the chat as they're leaving.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure so that I was like not losing my focus here. Thank you. All right, so with this information, what I'm gonna have you do, look again at the ratings in the last exercise, the notes you made earlier, just see what's standing out for you. Are there any patterns you feel are emerging? Why don't you just reflect, make a note of anything you notice. I'll be quiet for a minute so you can do that. Okay, so to wrap up that thought, regardless of which one of these seems to be your biggest challenge, I want you to know two things. Number one, it's almost always more than one. So you've got one main challenge, but I can guarantee the other two are showing up. And of course, number two is that this is why I'm here. This is my superpower. It's the way I make an impact for change makers like all of you. All right, so in a minute, I'm going to give you the second question, which I actually already previewed on the screen. You might have noticed. And it's kind of the bigger question. And then we'll go ahead and make sure we wrap up before the top of the hour. But what I generally find at this point, if you're staying on, your brains are a little tired. The logical side of the brain needs a break. And I want to kind of incorporate and get the creative centers of your mind on board. So let's do this. I'm going to do just a little break for your mind. Okay, so go ahead and take your hands off the keyboard, put your pen down. Take a nice deep breath. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And I invite you to imagine having a steady stream of great clients coming in. These are clients who happily pay you what you're worth. You're making a difference. You're known for your brilliance and for your expertise. And to attract those clients, you have a plan. And it's not just any plan. It's a plan full of things you love to implement, things that are simple and clear. They don't take your whole schedule and they feel genuine and natural. You know where to go, you know what to do, and you know what to say to take new prospects from that first meeting to signing on the bottom line as a client. And you do this with confidence and with consistency and with ease. Take another deep breath. Open your eyes. Is that a vision you can get behind? Yes? I hope so. I also hope your brain feels a little bit more refreshed and ready for this next question. So the second question, it's a straightforward one, and that is, what is your plan? Basically, what is your plan to address your biggest challenge or to get tens across the board with client generation? And how do you integrate that into your current business? Now, if this is bringing up stress, please don't worry. I'm going to show you how you can get some help in a minute, but begin now. Write down 3 specific things you need to get that plan started. And actually, to make sure we finish on time, you're going to want to set aside some time to flesh out this plan later. But here's the thing, if you've already been struggling for a while to come up with a plan, or you're thinking about the plan you have and are saying to yourself, this isn't getting me where I want to go fast enough, then let's schedule some time to talk and figure it out together. Because regardless of whether you're in your first few years of business or you're down the road a bit and client generation is getting lost in the shuffle, scheduling a call, a breakthrough call with me, it's the natural next step if you've been feeling stuck, like you're spinning your wheels and you don't know how to get out of the spin. So if that's how you're feeling, please take me up on this complimentary call. We're going to sit down. We're going to map out where to focus your efforts for the next 3 to 6 months. So you're clear about the best use of your time and energy for the specific phase of business you're in right now. Now, before I give you the link, which I'm going to do in a second, I do have 2 criteria to qualify for the call. Very simple. Number 1, please, you got to be willing to receive straightforward feedback. It is a short call, so I have to have your permission to get to the point. And second, be open to consider investing to work together beyond this initial call if we both see that it will get you that tens across the board plan so you're attracting clients steadily. Fair enough? I'm going to take that as a yes. So here is the link. It's breakthroughcall.biz. This is just a simple calendar link. You just pick your date, pick your time, and you're done. What we're going to do is we are going to take a bird's eye view of your business through my discovery process. You are not going to pick my brain. I am not going to do an extended sales pitch. Nobody wants that. And it'll be obvious if we want to do more work together by the end. Okay, and I'm going to drop that in the chat so I can navigate away. There you go. Please also do let me know if you have a time zone challenge with when I'm available. Just send me a quick email and we'll try to find a time that works. Okay, I'm actually going to stop here so that if we have a question or two that we want to go over, we can do that now. Let's see. Thanks for the nice thank yous. I don't know if anybody else presents, but if you ever have people like dropping off the call and you can hear it, you start going, oh my God, did I get it wrong? So, anybody have a question? Let's see. Britta, challenge. Asking for getting testimonials from executives and clients contracted through a third party. Britta, what is the agreement? Hi, I can see you. What is the agreement with a third party?
Yeah, it's usually always a no. So that's my biggest challenge because it's always include. You can usually not, unless it's a smaller training provider but with the big ones, you cannot even approach them on LinkedIn. And I totally understand that.
Yeah.
For
Yeah, I'd
me,
say,
it's more, how do I navigate? I have this current case where I've been asked to provide a written testimonial, or for the person who's recruiting the coach to talk to an executive that I have coached. So how do you now navigate around this? Because I do think this is not very ethical, and I can't go to a CEO and ask him, do you want to talk about what I coached you on?
Yes. So a lot of times it's not what did I coach you on. So okay. In the United States, and I don't know in other countries, we have these terrible before and after diet pictures, pudgy, pale before picture, shaved, tans after picture. That's how I think of testimonials. It's not what you did, but more like we were really struggling with this. We were working on this. We didn't know how to navigate this. And you don't have to put a name to it, but like the level, like C-suite executive, say, we were struggling with this. What was really unique about working with so-and-so is this. So I like the unique, what really made a difference, what we loved about the experience. That's kind of the middle piece. And then the after, because of this, we were able to our retention rate went up, things like that. So before, during, after, rather than I was stressing out, my wife was about to leave me, and not that stuff. That probably shouldn't go in a testimonial.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do, sorry, just one last thing on that one. I do understand about the outcome and what you're actually getting, shifting the client from to how many, what's the value of what is the client bringing to the company after the coaching. It's just not always where the other person is. And if they need to get that in writing, they may want to have exactly what it is that you coached on. It's just something that I'm dealing with right now in the first time ever. So I was just wondering if there's anyone else who's experienced this. But I understand the outcome. Yes, thank you.
Yes. And actually, I would say outcome, yes, but almost more important is the before. Because your prospects are sitting in the before seat right now, and they have to be able to relate to that.
Yes.
That shiny, great outcome. That shiny, great outcome, they might think, well, that person is just, special. They're not like me. Getting the before is as, if not more important. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I know we're at time, so thank you for all the kind words in the chat. I appreciate it. I love it. Please, you have my email. You know how to reach out to me. And Claire, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, I've got 4 pages of notes. They're really, really useful, and there's more to be done on the thinking, never mind the planning and implementation. I'll certainly be sending you that email, Mary. Really appreciate you being here. Loved your style and delivery, really lively, but spaces for reflection. Thank you all for coming. Keep eye out on the scroll down on the homepage of the website for the community cafes coming up. There'll be more in Q4 on this particular topic. Great to see everyone. Stay in touch. And anyone going to my class, let's start at 5 minutes past, just so we can grab some water. So,
Thanks,
see you all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye
See
now.
ya. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Claire.
Pleasure.